So here's the thing, 3,200 homes sold in my market last month. Only about 195 of them came from for sale by owners or expired listings, which is about 5% of the total market opportunity. Now, in my market, we've got about 16,000 agents all competing to get these transactions. And so I want to talk about today, the pros and cons or for sale by owners and expired listings, which I often talk about as an opportunity to get listings, versus circle prospecting, which is something I don't talk about that often, but there's a new way I'm thinking about this that I have experienced in my career that I think will be something you don't expect. So let's jump into this. Let's start talking about for sale by owners and expired listings first. So when I think about the opportunity with these lead sources, the pros are very obvious. First off, they are the only hand raisers we have in the business of real estate sales. And as you know, that's what makes our business of real estate so difficult, in that it's very rare that people go through the process of buying and selling a home. There's all kinds of stats out there, but on average, people do it every 7 or 10 years. On average, someone might only move 3 or 4 times in their lifetime. Unlike other industries, as an example, if we were selling insurance as an example, well, there's a lot more opportunity. Why? Because anybody who drives a car or owns a home could be a potential client, because we could call all of them and say, hey, let me look at your insurance policy to see if I can give you the same coverage or better coverage and save you money. And therefore, everyone's a prospect. Unlike real estate, it's very difficult to find somebody who wants to sell. So for sale by owners and expired listings offer that opportunity to us. That's why it brings with it so much competition, which we'll talk about. The second pro is that they are so easy to find. So now you start to stack those on top of each other. We've got people in the marketplace saying, hey, I'm looking to sell my house, which is a great benefit for real estate agents. Number two, because they have their hand raised looking to sell their house, they're super easy to find. They're so simple to point out from a crowd. Most of them have signs in their front yard. The next pro is they're super easy to contact. You can use sources like Vulcan 7, which we recommend. There's a link to that in the description, to get these people's contact phone number, email address, social media handles. They're so easy to get in conversations with. And the other con is that they are most definitely the fastest way for real estate agents to get listings. However, with all of those added benefits, there are some downsides. The first con is competition that I just mentioned. Because they offer such a great opportunity to get listings, you have the top agents in the marketplace competing to also get that business. And with that competition, not only is it the top agents, but it's the top agents with the most skills going after these lead sources. And so it's fierce competition. The next downside, I would say, or the next con I would say, is service area. What I mean by that is this, when you go after for sale by owners and expired listings as a part of your business plan, we don't control where those appear in our market area or our service area. Sometimes they might be a 30 or 45 minute drive. Sometimes they might be an hour drive. Very rarely do they pop up in our backyard 5 minutes down the road, or very rarely do they pop up in our neighborhood or the neighborhoods that we would prefer to do business in. So that's a potential downside. Another downside is the pressure on commissions. So as these homeowners quickly find out that they're in conversation with a ton of different real estate agents, and it puts downward pressure on commissions. And for a lot of real estate agents, it's how they go and win these listings is by offering the lowest commission. So you're constantly having to battle and to fight to protect your margins. The other downside is that they have very low or limited supply. Again, we have no control. We have no idea when the next for sale by owner will appear, when the next expired listing opportunity will appear. There's a limited amount of supply, which then creates this whole new world of competition, increasing that competition, I should say. And then the other downside is burnout. Because the competition is so high, because this type of lead generation or prospecting requires you to constantly be on your game, constantly be very consistent in making sure that you're first thing in the morning having these conversations. They drain a lot of your energy because they are very difficult conversations to have. A lot of people don't have the staying power to stay with this for for any length of time because they burn out. So let's talk about circle prospecting on the other hand. So there's a lot of upsides that to be fair, I don't talk about as often as I should, but I want to get into some of those right now. The first pro is that you get to pick where you work. And this might be the most important one of them all, because all of us in real estate, if we had a wand and we could wave that wand, all of us would prefer to say, I only want to sell real estate in this neighborhood. And you make your entire business hyper local, hyper focused, so you can dominate that neighborhood. You be the go-to person. Everybody knows you. You have the best brand. You have the best name recognition in that area, in that neighborhood. Anybody who thinks about selling a house in that area, they come to you because they always see your signs. So that's number one. The second one would be you get to then pick the types of homes you want to sell. So if you think about it, unlike a for sale by owner and expired, because there's such a limited supply, you don't get to decide what type of property you sell. You can't specialize in a type of home. You can't niche down. You get what you get. You don't throw a fit. So we tell our kids. So with circle prospecting, however, it's quite the opposite. You get to pick where you work and you get to pick the exact type of home that you're going to specialize in selling. The next pro is you get to pick your price point. So now you get to pick where you work, the types of home, and the price points. And so again, the way in which we get compensated for what we do, it makes sense that you can pick a price point that makes sense to be at a profit margin that serves your business. The next pro is it's very low, little, or most cases, no competition whatsoever. Unlike the for sale by owner that hits the market, it's getting 50 phone calls on the first day from all your competitors, or like an expired listing who gets 150 phone calls in the first hour from all your competitors. If you are circle prospecting into neighborhoods, chances are you're competing with no one on that phone call, which makes these conversations very easy. The next thing is they have high margins because you don't have anybody competing with you. When you find a homeowner who is indeed looking to sell their property, you don't have the whole competition you do like for sale by owners and expired listings. So it's a lot easier for you to charge your worth. The next pro is an endless supply. It's an unlimited quantity of homeowners. So with circle prospecting, as you know, after you've picked where you want to work, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. There's an endless supply of homeowners, therefore making it a great, unique opportunity because like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, only about 5% of the home sales in my market come from for sale by owners and expireds, meaning 95% of every home that gets sold in my market is not a for sale by owner or an expired listing. So the opportunity is much greater. I already talked about this a little bit, but the next pro I would say is these conversations are probably the easiest to have in the business of real estate prospecting because there's no competition, because the prospect aren't getting a bunch of phone calls and people showing up at their door. Their defenses are a lot lower. Their resistance is a lot lower. There isn't all the frustration that you have to deal with these other phone calls. They're a lot easier to convert. Once you start to build a pipeline, which we're going to talk a lot about here in just a second, they're a lot easier to convert from the standpoint of, you can get a lot of listings through circle prospecting without having, crazy amounts of high sales skills like you do when you're looking to compete with a bunch of other agents with for sale by owners and expired listings. The next pro, this allows for consistent pipeline maturity. So once you build this business model, you will find that you have a predictable, consistent business that generates listings on a consistent basis month in and month out. We'll talk about how you're going to do that in just a second. And it's easy to maintain consistency. And the reason I say it's easy to maintain consistency because unlike for sale by owners and expireds, where a lot of people don't have the mental stamina to stay in the game, these conversations are so easy. It's very enjoyable to have these conversations with people in the neighborhoods in which you want to serve. So it's a lot easier for one to maintain their consistent behaviors. Now, the only downside I can think about when it comes to circle prospecting, this is the reason why a lot of people don't do it and they end up going after for sale by owners and expireds, is because it does take a long time to build a pipeline. The conversions are a lot lower than for sale by owners or expireds, but there's so much upside to it that I think it's worth you considering. Now, I want to talk to you about how to succeed with circle prospecting, right? So if you are watching this video and you're saying, okay, yeah, there is a lot of upsides. The only downside is really time and conversion, but if I can break into this, there's a lot of upsides. I'm going to share with you the exact stats from one of the agents that I am coaching right now. And all All she does is circle prospect. That's it. She doesn't prospect for sell by owners. She doesn't do open houses. She doesn't prospect expired listings. The only thing she does is focuses on a specific geographic area and circle prospect. Now, let me walk you through the conversion ratios so that you can see exactly how to win with this strategy. Now, the first thing we need to look at is the contact to lead generated ratio. With for sale by owners and expireds, you can expect about a 10% conversion, meaning out of every 100 people you talk to that are for sale by owners or expireds, that will generate about 10 high quality leads. With circle prospecting, it's about 1%. Okay, so out of 100 conversations, on average, you will probably yield one solid seller lead. All right, so let me define what a lead is so that you have the context. For us, when I'm coaching a real estate agent, there are 5 things that the prospect must meet in order to qualify as a high quality lead. Number 1, they have to have motivation to sell, a clear reason for wanting to sell. Downsize, upsize, relocation, something specific, not just this pie in the sky, sure, I'd like to sell someday. Number 2, specific timelines. So yes, here's the reason we're looking to move. Here's when we are looking to move. Number 3, they are not committed to another real estate agent. So in other words, they are open to giving you the opportunity to earn their business when the day comes to hire an agent. Number 4, the prospect invites you to follow up. You don't force the follow-up, they invite you to follow up. And then number 5, prospect offers up their email address as a method to stay in contact. Now that we've established what a lead is, you now know what a lead isn't. We talked about the conversion from contact to lead. Let's get even more granular. Okay, so the average conversion with circle prospecting is about 6 months. Now, I want you to paint this picture of what is possible over the next 3 years, because I'm going to walk you through this agent's actual conversion, what she was able to do over the past 3 years. Okay, so if you want help with any of this too, of course, there's a link right underneath this video. If you want to have a conversation about potentially coaching together, just click on that and then we can have a conversation to see if it makes sense or not. All right, so here's what this looks like over 3 years. This assumes the agent, you, are having 30 conversations per day. This is what the agent was doing that I'm coaching. 30 contacts every day, Monday through Friday, without missing. Okay, 240 times per year. Here's what it looks like. Takes about 4 hours a day, because on average, you should be able to have 7 conversations per hour. Now, we talked about this before, but it's a 1% contact to lead generated. All right, so out of every 100 conversations, you're getting one solid seller lead. Now, in your first year of doing this, you should be able to convert 25% of those leads into an appointment set. Year 2, you should be able to convert 50% of those leads into an appointment set. And then year 3, you should be able to convert 75% of the leads you generate via the phone into an appointment set. Now, the next conversion is your set to met ratio, which on average should be about 80%. So after we looked at, okay, how many appointments am I setting versus going on? Now we have to look at conversion or closing ratio. So in your first year of doing this, and this is exactly what we found with the agent that I was coaching, you should be able to convert about 50% of the listing appointments you go on. So out of 10 listing appointments, you should be able to close 5 into an actual listing. All right. Year 2, that should go up to 70%. And then year 3, you should be able to be close to 90%. Okay. This is unlike for sale by owners and expireds, where maybe that conversion's lower. These are people that you're nurturing over months and months and months and months. And most of the conversion happens over the nurturing process. So by the time that prospect gets ready to say, yep, I'm ready to sell my house, you've pretty much already won the business through lead follow-up. So here's what this looks like. This is exactly what happened for this agent that I'm working with right now. So in her first year, by doing 30 conversations, her first year, she had 7,200 contacts or conversations. She got, as a result of that, 72 leads. Okay, she averaged about 1%, 18 appointments set. Okay, that was where we got that 25% number. So of the 72 leads she generated, 18 turned into a listing appointment set. 14 actually came to fruition. So out of the 18 appointments that she set, 14 actually happened, where she went to the prospect's home and presented her listing presentation. She converted 7, 50%. Here's the key takeaway from year 1. She didn't get any listings in her first 6 months, 0. Okay, so at the end of her first year, she got 7 listings. listings. Now, let's talk about what happened in year 2 and what will happen in year 2 for you as well. When the pipeline starts to mature, this is when the magic starts to happen. So she's not working any harder, neither do you, to dramatically scale her business. So she continued to have 7,200 conversations, 30 a day. The same thing she did in year 1. She's not working any harder. She generated another new 72 leads from those conversations. However, she had 54 leads that came over from the work she did in year 1 that's now in her pipeline. So now she's generated 126 total leads, of which she converted into 63 appointments set, of which she was able to meet with 50 of those people as a result of her skills growing and the pipeline being more mature. And out of 50 listing appointments that she went on, she was able to close 35 listings in her second year. So from year 1, going from 7 to 35, that's massive growth. Now, here's what happened in year 3. Not working any harder. We're maintaining 30 conversations a day, yielding us 7,200 conversations for the year. Well, this is what happened for her. She had 72 additional leads that we added into the seller lead pipeline, 54 that came over from year 2, 27 were still left over from year 1. Now we've got 153 seller leads in the database. Now they start to turn over, they start to manifest. You've been having conversations with some of these leads for a year, year and a half. Of those 153 leads in the seller lead database, she was able to set appointments with 114 of them, of which 91 turned into an actual listing appointment. And she was at a 89% closing ratio. So in the third year, she was able to take 82 listings. She sold 66 of them. Her average commission was $7,500. She yielded just under $500,000 in her at the end of her third year as a real estate agent, just doing circle prospecting, because this allows for true pipeline maturity. And this is not a video to position against for sale by owners or expireds and for circle prospecting. It's more so there is more ways to skin a cat than just for sale by owners and expireds. That's the point of this video, is that if you can have some patience, you can build an incredible listing agent business through a pipeline of circle prospecting that continues to turn over year over year over year over year. The problem is most agents don't have enough patience to build the pipeline to reap the benefits of that pipeline ever maturing. So if any of that made sense, and again, if you are wanting to have a conversation with me about potentially working together, just click the link. It's right underneath this video. You can schedule a day and time to learn about our Listing Agent Academy and then decide if it's for you or not. So hopefully you got a lot of good takeaways from today's video, and I'll see you guys very soon.